Jeopardy's Ken Jennings has admitted his kids will not let him use Gen Z slang. While on the show during Jeopardy Masters Week, Ken has appeared on morning shows like Live with Kelly and Mark and Good Morning America. On Tuesday's episode of GMA, Ken played a little GMA Jeopardy while chatting with the hosts. Each of the questions on the Jeopardy while on GMA was all about Ken, as he was meant to answer each one. The first clue read, "Doing this makes your kids sigh when they watch you on Jeopardy." Ken replied straight away, "What is any Gen Z slang?" He stifled a laugh as he explained, "My kids are terrified. I can say tonight on Jeopardy, I'm going to go to a contestant and say, 'You're so real for that, bestie.' And they're like, 'Dad, do not, I swear, do not do that, like I will die if you do.'" That Ken raised his hands to speak, showing how serious his kids are about keeping him from doing such a thing. George Stephanopoulos laughed as he related to Ken, "Yeah, I'm not allowed to use SLE," he said. The hosts laughed and continued with the segment as Ken answered more questions. Candid Ken. Meanwhile, Ken shared that he thinks dual hosting duties with bialik is good variety for viewers. Ken joined Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos on Tuesday's episode of Live with Kelly and Mark to talk about the long-running game show. Kelly and Mark had plenty of questions to ask Ken about his time as Jeopardy's host. "The secret of Jeopardy is that we do like 5 in a day," Ken told Kelly and Mark. "Now that's a schedule," Kelly exclaimed. "It is pretty cushy," Ken agreed. Kelly asked Ken how the hosting split with mayim actually works. "It's really a 50-50. It's split mostly relying on her sitcom schedule. When she was doing Call Me Kat, her time was very limited, so when she was on her sitcom, I was hosting Jeopardy, and then she would trade in." Kelly replied, "It's a nice trade-off. It's a good variety, I think, for the viewers." Ken agreed. They discussed Ken's experience hosting the Jeopardy Masters tournament as well. The tournament kicked off Monday, May 8th. It will run for the next 3 weeks, with 2 episodes a day, Kelly boasted. She guessed the answer to a final Jeopardy question that none of the contestants on screen had. Ken then agreed he would play a game with the pair on the morning show Back at It. Meanwhile, Ken made a head-turning announcement after his feud with rival James Holzhauer was taken to another level on Monday night's episode of Jeopardy Masters. James had quite the message for the legendary champion. Ken sat down with TMZ to share his thoughts on Ken calling him out during Final Jeopardy on Monday. "I feel like I got away with one last time. I had to play that guy," the 48-year-old said, referring to the time he beat James during the show's greatest of all-time tournament in 2020. Ken continued, "He is the best player of his generation, and I can't believe I skated by with a win in my fading decade. I'm getting a little long in the tooth for a Jeopardy champion." The longtime TV star then made it clear, however, "No, ain't going to be no rematch. You have to let somebody high. You can't keep summoning my unquiet ghost to go play Amy Schneider. She doesn't need that," Ken added, noting the famous Jeopardy player who won 40 consecutive games in 2021 to 2022. The hoopla all kicked off during the first episode and second matchup of Jeopardy Masters, which saw James 38 take on Sam Buttrey and Mata Roach 24. Since James completely dominated his fellow competitors, he was able to go into Final Jeopardy catch up to his score. James used the question which asked opened in 199 and less famous than an older neighbor. It connects Brooklyn and Chinatown to mess with Ken. James instead answered, "Stop ducking a rematch," Ken, causing the host to laugh out loud. "You know how much work I had to go to get all the way over at this lecture and avoid having to play you again, James," Ken replied. James then quipped that he was a victim of autocorrect, hinting that the word ducking was actually intended to be something else. Ken Jennings, the iconic quizmaster and record-breaking champion of Jeopardy, has graced the screen for years with his encyclopedic knowledge and quick wit. As a cultural icon, he's been a guiding light for trivia lovers everywhere. However, behind the scenes of the game show, Jennings faces a unique challenge navigating fatherhood While maintaining his role as the esteemed host recently, he revealed that his children have instituted a ban on certain behaviors during his time on Jeopardy that adds an amusing layer to his already illustrious career. Jennings has always been known for his sharp intellect and his ability to keep calm under pressure. After becoming the longest-running champion in Jeopardy history, he transitioned to the role of host, stepping into the shoes of the late Alex TRC. Yet as Jennings took the helm, he found that balancing his public persona with his private life was more complicated than he anticipated. His children, now at an age where they're fully aware of their father's celebrity status, decided to set some ground rules. During a recent interview, Jennings shared a story about how his kids had collectively banned him from displaying what they called bad behavior while on the set of Jeopardy. The revelation was met with laughter as Jennings recounted the specific behaviors his children found embarrassing. The first and foremost rule was to avoid any dad jokes. Despite his keen sense of humor, his children felt that the corny puns and word play he often indulged and could be mortifying, especially when shared with the national audience. Dad jokes are meant to be shared in the comfort of home, not on national television. Jennings chuckled. His kids had made it clear that while they appreciated his lightheartedness, they preferred that he keep the cringeworthy puns for family dinners, rather than sprinkling them throughout the Jeopardy episodes. Another behavior his kids deemed off-limits was his tendency to answer questions with a casual "well." Actually, whenever a contestant made a small mistake, Jennings acknowledged that this habit stemmed from his long history with the game where every detail mattered, but his children found it uncool and insisted he tone it down. "I get it. I'm not trying to be the trivia police," Jennings admitted, smiling, "but I can't help myself sometimes." The third ban was related to his competitive spirit. Jennings explained how his children had jokingly expressed their concern that his desire to win at any cost was too intense. "They told me, 'You're not competing anymore, Dad, just have fun.'" He recounted this light-hearted intervention from his kids, reminded Jennings that at the end of the day, the purpose of Jeopardy is not just to win, but to entertain and engage with fans of all ages. These restrictions, though humorous, reflect a broader theme in Jennings's life. As he navigates the challenges of parenting as a father, he strives to be a role model for his children while remaining relatable.